Chapter 3, when Twinkle saves Sasquatch's life. Delilah said, Diana, I got this. Let them come to me. Hey there, fools. Hope you like this. Twinkle said, look out. So Delilah took her blaster out and opened fire on Twinkle. Delilah said, hold still, fool. That's when she locked in to Argo's position. Delilah said, direct hit. Twinkle said, here she comes again. So Twinkle pushed Argo out of the way, and Delilah fired her blaster on him and knocked him to the ground. Delilah said, bullseye. Argo said, Twinkle. Delilah said, see you later, suckers. Argo said, Twinkle, are you okay? Twinkle, wake up. Diana said, boo-hoo, we did it. That was awesome, boss. Now to that transport. Gold, here we come. Argo said, not if I stop them first. Delilah said, yeah, we got that, fool. Hook, line, and sinker. Deborah said, it seems your Rigetti friend bit the dust. Sasquatch said, what are you talking about? I have no idea who that mysterious warrior is. Argo said, this is going to be easy. Diana said, boss, didn't you take out the Rigetti? Delilah said, let this fool follow us. They won't see it coming. Meanwhile, Deborah and Sasquatch were duking it out some more. Deborah said, stop lying, Rigetti. You know you have others that would help you too. Sasquatch said, it can't be. Delilah starts to charge up her blaster so it would be ready for Argo's demise. Deborah said, it can, you foolish Rigetti. After a while, Twinkle started to get back up and dusted the dirt off his suit. Twinkle said, what in the heck happened? Did she just knock me out of the sky? Then Twinkle noticed that Argo was about to meet her end and had to do something about it. Twinkle said, so, she wants to blast Argo out of the sky. Well, two can play this game. So then Twinkle started his jetpack and headed back in to take out Delilah. Argo said, I think it's time for a little comeback for knocking my friend out of the sky. Delilah said, I think it's time they meet their demise. Twinkle said, criminal, criminal, where are you at? Sometimes your mischief gets you nowhere. So Twinkle got close to Delilah. Argo looked at and saw Twinkle. Argo said, thank goodness. Twinkle said, bingo, I got you in my sights, you ignorant thief. But that's when Diana saw Twinkle. Diana said, Delilah, it's him again. That's when Delilah noticed that he was behind her. Delilah said, impossible, I just took him out. Diana said, so much for that. Argo said, Twinkle, Twinkle, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. Deborah said, wait, your mysterious friend survived? That's impossible. Sasquatch said, lucky son of a gun. Diana said, not for long. Delilah said, come and get us, you ignorant fools. Diana said, you ain't serious about this. So Twinkle took his blaster out and fired away on Delilah as she was riding through the area on her Rigetti cycle. Argo said, hey, watch it. Delilah said, knock it off, fool. I just got this brand new from the lot. But Twinkle wasn't buying it. Diana said, leave us alone. Twinkle said, okay, Christina Crocker. Argo said, but we're not leaving Brittany alone over here. Delilah said, my name is not Brittany. It's Delilah, and don't forget it. Twinkle said, this is not a game. No, serious, Argo. It's not a game. Diana said, listen here, you ignorant fools. If you lay a finger on my friend... Twinkle said, oh, you'll Christina Brown my assets? Diana said, funny. Twinkle said, besides that, license plate on that Rigetti jet doesn't look new. Don't like replacing it? So you'll do the time. Diana said, at least I don't have a baby carrot. Argo said, say what? Did she just roast you on an open fire? Twinkle said, really, Argo? It doesn't work like that. Deborah said, you ignorant friend got roasted by Diana. Sasquatch said, like your friend... Sasquatch said, like your friend with some open fire? Deborah said, what? Twinkle in disguise locked on to her position and aimed onto Delilah's vehicle. Twinkle said, target acquired, firing at will. Delilah said, don't you dare. Twinkle said, dare this. So Twinkle fired on Delilah's vehicle, knocking Delilah off of it. Diana said, Delilah! Argo said, you did it! Twinkle said, so long, suckers. That's when Delilah got pissed. Delilah said, drats! That damn Rigetti and his friend. Diana said, is everything okay? Delilah said, do you think everything is okay? Delilah said, just say it, don't spray it. Delilah said, I'll give you something for me to spray at. my foot in your... Deborah said, cool it, you two. I'm keeping the Rigetti from messing with our plans. But that's when Delilah realized the transport was long gone. Delilah said, great, it's gone. Deborah said, what? That's impossible. It can't be gone. Delilah said, I said it was gone, Deborah. Over. Deborah said, you and your friend are going to pay for this, Rigetti. Sasquatch said, you think you will get far by trying to chase down a transport? Deborah said, if you really think you'll get far, Rigetti, you have another thing coming. Sasquatch said, if the Rigetti warriors found out you're stealing from a transport full of gold bars. Deborah said, you know about that? Sasquatch said, I wish that I didn't do this to myself. Deborah said, there is no one who will save you now. So Sasquatch started to battle Deborah more, but then Deborah got the upper hand and threw him on the ground with a dagger to his throat. Deborah said, any last words, Rigetti? And like that, Twinkle and Argo arrived. Twinkle said, yeah, you ignoramus, leave my friend alone. Sasquatch said, no, even better. Fire! Deborah said, what? That's when Twinkle and Argo in disguise opened fire on Deborah. Sasquatch said, about time you showed up to save me. But that's when Twinkle and Argo took their helmets off. Deborah said, you're the Rigetti we're looking for. And what is she doing in a soldier's uniform? Sasquatch said, what is she talking about? Where did you go? That's when Deborah knew she had to run for it. Deborah said, you haven't seen the last of us, Rigettis. Argo said, you know where we will be. Deborah said, we will get you soon, Twinkle. Rigetti, vanish! And like that, Deborah disappeared in a fog of smoke. Sasquatch said, oh man, she ran away. Why didn't you both stop her? You had one job, and you blew it. Argo said, Twinkle was trying to help. Sasquatch said, who? And who are you? Argo said, oh, I'm sorry, my name is Argo. It's short for Argo Splash. Last name is Monroe. Sasquatch said, what the? That's when Sasquatch was shocked. Twinkle said, hey buddy, what's up? That's when Twinkle noticed Sasquatch had that weird look on his face. Twinkle said, surprise? Sasquatch said, wait, Twinkle? This whole time? Why didn't I see this? Twinkle said, relax, buddy. Sasquatch said, relax? Relax? Argo said, hold on. We just saved your life. Twinkle said, this is not a good time. Sasquatch said, Monroe, as in my cousin? Argo said, does my sister go by Sydney? Twinkle said, bingo. That's when Sasquatch gave a deep growl at Twinkle. That's when Argo looks at Sasquatch and realizes it. Argo said, Sasquatch? Is that you? But I thought you was dead. Me and Sydney came to the village and it was in ruins. Your teddy bear was scorched. Sasquatch said, oh, little saucy. Twinkle said, I want to know what's going on. Sasquatch said, you know Shaman wants his Rigetti jet back, and you tell me to relax? Twinkle said, I'm sorry. Argo said, he said he was sorry. Twinkle said, what was I supposed to do? I'm no Rigetti warrior. That's when Argo looked at him with that weird look. Argo said, what are you talking about? You proved you got the makings of a hero. Twinkle said, even they didn't believe I would be one. Sasquatch said, don't say that, buddy. You can make a difference. You can be one of us. Twinkle said, yeah, right. Gorch doesn't believe I can be a Rigetti warrior. Sasquatch said, you gotta make him believe that you can be the best. Twinkle said, and what is that? Sasquatch said, please help me. I have no idea what planet I'm on, or where I'm at. Twinkle said, buddy, you're in the Terrian forest. Sasquatch said, wait, are you telling me this is... But then Sasquatch and Argo saw Twinkle flying away with his jetpack on. Sasquatch said, wait, come back, Twinkle. I want to know more. Argo said, Twinkle, come back. Sasquatch said, oh well, I will have to head into town if I'm going to find out what planet I'm on. Argo said, I would move quick as the sun is setting. But then Sasquatch noticed the sun was going down. Sasquatch said, oh no, the sun is setting. Argo said, we're going to have to make a tent out of branches and leaves for us to sleep in. And don't get any ideas. Sasquatch said, oh no, ew. After all, Ratchet dates your sister Sydney now. Argo said, you're kidding. How long? Sasquatch said, I would say a year now. Argo said, going strong those two. Well, let's hurry with those supplies before it gets dark. So Sasquatch and Argo went into the forest to get some branches to keep the tent up. Then they found some leaves that were falling and bound them together until they had a wonderful tent. But that's when the rain appeared. Sasquatch said, "Oh no, we got to get out of this rain." Argo said, "You're right about that." But then that night, some wind started up. Argo said, "I'm freezing." Sasquatch said, "Here, Argo, here's my jacket." And he made sure to keep her warm. But the wind started to pick up faster than ever, and it blew their tent over to the other side of the forest. Sasquatch said, "This is why I should have tied up the bottom of the branches to the trees themselves." So Sasquatch and Argo knew they had no choice but to get into his Rigetti jet and take shelter for the night. But he didn't realize that Twinkle had thought about the same thing and had taken shelter in Shaman's Rigetti jet. Argo said, "I'll sleep in the blaster room." Sasquatch said, "I guess this is where I'm sleeping for the night. Good night, Twinkle, wherever you are." Argo said, "Good night, Sasquatch." Twinkle said, "Good night, Sasquatch." "Good night, Argo. I'm sorry for everything." Sasquatch said, "Good night to you too, Argo." Back at Traven's lair, he wasn't too pleased to find out that Delilah had got into a sticky situation and her Rigetti cycle was destroyed in the aftermath. Traven said, "What do you have to say for yourself?" Delilah said, "I'm sorry. I love that Rigetti cycle like it was my own." Diana said, "She really did." Traven said, "Silence! You knew this situation was going to happen if you didn't play your cards right." Deborah said, "It wasn't our fault. The Rigetti had someone helping him." Traven said, "Silence, you fool. Now you listen to me. Ricardo is going to have your heads if these Rigettis succeed in defeating all three of you. Is that understood?" Delilah said, "Yes, Master Traven." Diana said, "Yes, Master Traven." Deborah said, "Yes, Master Traven, we understand." Traven said, "Good. Now go to sleep. We need to figure out a plan to take out this Rigetti and this pest that is helping him out." The next morning, Sasquatch and Argo is sleeping all soundly when Twinkle decides to wake the sleeping king of the forest. Twinkle said, "Rise and shine, sweet cheeks. I know you want a kiss." Sasquatch said, "Oh my gosh, where's my baseball bat?" Argo said, "What is going on?" Sasquatch said, "Oh wait, here it is." Twinkle said, "Oh, come on, sugar pie honey buns." Argo said, "Twinkle, you're such a tease." Sasquatch said, "Dude, if you call me that again, I'll smack the taste out of your mouth." Argo said, "Sasquatch, just ignore him." Twinkle said, "I don't know if you can smack taste buds out of your mouth." Sasquatch said, "It's a saying, like break a leg, but don't really do it." Argo said, "It's a metaphor." Twinkle said, "Oh, like if I told you to kiss where the sun won't shine, would you do it?" Argo said, "If you wanted to kiss these cheeks down here?" Twinkle said, "No thanks, I have better things to do." Sasquatch said, "What's for breakfast, my girl?" Twinkle said, "I think we'll have some grapefruit with a side of dingleberry." Argo said, "I think I've heard enough from the peanut gallery." Sasquatch said, "Twinkle, watch it with your sweet cheeks." Twinkle said, "You ruined the joke." Sasquatch said, "What joke? I didn't say it." Twinkle said, "Oh, never mind." Argo said, "Do I have to break the two of you up?" Sasquatch said, "Oh, it's okay, Twinkle. Mother's here." But that's when Twinkle started to get upset, and it made him cry. Argo said, "What's wrong, Twinkle?" "What did you do?" Sasquatch said, "Twinkle, I'm sorry. I know you loved your mother." Twinkle said, "I never got to see my mother. Neither did Rutchet." Sasquatch said, "Wow, I'm very sorry." Twinkle said, "It must be rough without your mom as well. How could we stand not having a mom? One that we could say we loved them and cherished them, and had an argument of where I've been and asked me to be back by an earlier time and all that." Sasquatch said, "It happened so fast that you blinked." Argo said, "That was very unnecessary, and you knew it." Twinkle said, "Well, since you think this is funny, I'm not going to stay here and be made fun of." Sasquatch said, "Listen, about this planet." Twinkle said, "I gave you a hint, but if you want to know the hard way, then fine. But I'm warning you, the locals aren't going to be kind to you looking like that." Sasquatch said, "Then they're going to have to deal with it until I get into town." Twinkle said, "I guess I'm going to have to follow him." Argo said, "You're going to have to." Twinkle said, "You're not going with us?" Argo said, "I don't know if I can handle being a Rigetti warrior like Sasquatch." Back on Ricardo's airship, he gets a transmission from Delilah. Ricardo said, "This better be good. Hello, Delilah. So, is the Rigetti destroyed yet?" Delilah said, "Oh, Master Ricardo, That Rigetti destroyed my Rigetti cycle. Ricardo said, Oh, the Rigetti destroyed your Rigetti cycle. Oh, poor baby. Now you listen to me. Don't call me back unless you've got something important to tell me. Deborah said, But we do, honest. So Ricardo hanged up on Delilah. Diana said, Is there something I can do? Delilah said, Well, you can help me by repairing my Rigetti cycle, and that's final. Diana said, Yes, Delilah. So Diana got on with fixing Delilah's Rigetti cycle. Deborah said, Delilah, what do I do in the meantime for you here in our lair? Delilah said, Well, we plan the attack on the Rigetti and make sure he's finally destroyed for once. Deborah said, What about the Rigetti Twinkle? He was with Sasquatch and that Rigetti girl, Argo. Last. Diana said, So that was a girl in that soldier's armor? That's awesome! I'm being horrible, Betty. That's when Delilah had that look on her face. Delilah said, What did you say? Deborah said, I said Twinkle was with them and he was wearing metallic armor in disguise. Diana said, And that Rigetti girl, Argo, was in armor too. Delilah said, So Twinkle and that other Rigetti girl was in soldier's armor? Those sneaky Rigetti? Deborah said, Do you want me to track them down? Wilfred said, That won't be necessary. You see, if I can trick the Rigetti, he will be mine. And I'll even capture the other Rigettis and sell them to a circus to do tricks while in a cage. And every time they miss a move, they will get shocked. Delilah said, We'll see about that. Ricardo is getting impatient with you. Wilfred said, Let him. At least I'm trying to capture him, unlike you. Ricardo said, So, none of you knew the Rigetti was in your sight? Well, I ain't got all day. Deborah said, I did, but the others didn't. Ricardo said, Was that what you were going to say and you didn't say it early enough? Deborah said, I tried to, but you hanged up on us. Delilah said, Deborah, shut up. Ricardo said, Wilfred, I don't want any funny business more from you. And the only person that should be in the circus is you juggling my tennis balls for wasting my damn time. Maya said, Maybe they can nickname him Juggling Willie, since he will juggle anything willingly. Wilfred said, Real original, Maya. Ricardo said, You better have an excuse why you haven't got the Rigetti yet. Wilfred said, It's hard to capture a Rigetti that's wearing your soldier's armor. Diana said, Or a Rigetti in pretty pink princess panties. Maya said, I wish you were wearing them. Delilah said, Maya, shut your... Delilah didn't mean it. She knew I would love to wear Maya's any day. Ricardo said, Good, very good, but also very weird of you at the same time. Maya said, What? Ricardo said, I was being sarcastic. Update me when you... Ricardo said, I was being sarcastic. Update me when you capture the Rigetti. So Ricardo hanged up on Wilfred. Wilfred said, I would apologize if I were you. Delilah said, You better hold your breath, as you won't capture 3 Rigettis before us. Wilfred said, I'm not even worried about the Rigetti. He'll go into town and be confronted by the most annoying deputy that the sheriff hired. And the deputy is a total creep. Diana said, Holy cow, someone on social media said that Barbar the T-Rex has a big... Deborah said, I'm going to cut you off there. Delilah said, You know that was a joke, right? Diana said, Oh, my bad. Deborah said, I think me and Delilah are trying to say is, Hit the road, Will. Don't you come back to our hideout. Wilfred said, I don't ever want to hear your excuse that day. Take me to the Rigetti so I can capture him so. Wilfred said, I don't want to... Wilfred said, I don't ever want to hear... Wilfred said, I don't ever want to hear your excuse that day. Take me to the Rigetti so I can capture him. Diana said, Knock it off, or I'll give you a chili pepper that's red hot. Wilfred said, Okay, Brianna Charles. Delilah said, Hey, hired help. Can you lead us to the nearest village? Wilfred said, Ha ha, very funny. Deborah said, You won't think it's funny when we make you burn like an usher. Diana said, One for Deborah, none for Wilfred. Delilah said, "A break for us, none for Wilfred." Deborah said, "Sometimes Will feels like a nut, some points he don't." Deborah said, "Sometimes Will feels like a nut, some points he don't." Delilah said, "Sometimes he feels like it." Diana said, "Sometimes he's nuts." Wilfred said, "Let's head out. They don't have the balls to catch them." Hager said, "You're right, boss, because they're women." Emmanuel said, "No, you numbskull, because they're horrible at their jobs." Deborah said, "I hope something happens to your sexist ass. For reals." Delilah said, "Don't pay them any mind. The size of their package is as big as their baby carrot." Delilah said, "Don't pay them any mind. The size of their package is as big as this baby carrot." Wilfred said, "Why, I oughta." Hager said, "We'll be back for you two. You'll remember that." Diana said, "As if." So Sasquatch headed out to town, but then some soldiers spotted him. One of the soldiers' names was Keenan, and he had a lot to tell Ricardo. Keenan said, "Hey, Ricardo, this is Keenan. I see the Rigetti over the ridge." "Over." Ricardo said, "Where is he going?" "Over." Keenan said, "The village over the ridge." "Over." Ricardo said, "Excellent. He will be in Wilfred's sights. Of course, he has, in the words of Maya, the pet lion hanging with him, and that Rigetti girl who stole my soldier's armor, and he hasn't even been the same since." "Over." That's when Keenan looked over the ridge. Keenan said, "I see them. That Rigetti warrior and that Rigetti girl is bad news." "Over." Ricardo said, "You don't have to say that." "Over." Lazarus looked in his binoculars and saw Wilfred and his crew zoning in. Lazarus said, "Wilfred, 12 o'clock, over." Twinkle said, "I gotta land for a while, and besides, I'm safe with you and Argo while in this desert." Argo said, "I hope you're right." Sasquatch said, "I don't know if that's true." Twinkle said, "What do you mean?" Argo said, "What is it, almighty Rigetti warrior?" Sasquatch said, "I sense something's wrong." Twinkle said, "What could it be?" Argo said, "I think it's his ego. Listen, Sasquatch, I think you're being ridiculous with this whole fact you can use Rigetti mind tracks to sense something happening to us." So Sasquatch looked up on the ridge and he couldn't believe it, so he tried to get Twinkle and Argo's attention. Sasquatch said, "You need to look at this." Twinkle said, "What is it?" Argo said, "Okay, Sasquatch is..." Argo said, "Okay, Sasquatch is it? Can you take your wisdom and shove it up your..." Sasquatch said, "I think this is an ambush." Twinkle said, "Say what? Are you serious?" Argo said, "There is no way. Argo said, "There is no way that up there in that area that there's an ambush, unless you set us up as..." That's when Keenan looked down and realized the Rigettis knew there was trouble brewing. Lazarus said, "What's going on, boss?" Keenan said, "The Rigettis know of our plan. We need to act. We need to act. We need to act now. Over." That's when Sasquatch and the others noticed several soldiers heading their way and had to think fast. Argo said, "Oh, look there." Argo said, "Oh, look, there are people coming this way in soldier armor." "What?" Twinkle said, "Is that what it..." Twinkle said, "Is that what I think it is?" Sasquatch said, "Correct, buddy." Argo said, "Listen, I have to apologize to you for being a brat." Sasquatch said, "Don't sweat it." Sasquatch said, "Don't sweat it. Wretched's the real hero." Argo gave Sasquatch that look. Argo said, "What? No, I didn't mean what I said earlier. I know you're a hero too." Twinkle said, "Come on, you two, to our battle stations." Twinkle said, "Come on, you two, to our battle stations." Sasquatch said, "Ready for this, buddy?" Twinkle said, "Ready and willing for battle." Argo said, "This is going to be fun." Twinkle said, "I don't know about that." Argo said, "I was being sarcastic." Sasquatch said, "Come on, you two, let's do this." So Sasquatch, Argo, and Twinkle start to battle with Ricardo's soldiers, but Ricardo's soldiers start dropping like flies. Keenan headed down the ridge to confront the Rigettis. Argo said, "Who is that?" Twinkle said, "Keenan, is that you?" Argo said, "You know him?" Keenan said, "You're the Rigetti that Wilfred is after?" Keenan said, "You're the Rigetti that Wilfred is after?" Sasquatch said, "How do you know who this is?" Argo said, "Answer the question." Twinkle said, "Keenan, don't do this. Join Sasquatch, Argo, and me. And together we could defeat Ricardo's general. Keenan said, it's not an actual general, more like an hired hand of Ricardo's, and there is nothing you can do about your situation. Argo said, that was so amazing, you get an Oscar for best excuse. Sasquatch said, great persuading him. That went well. Twinkle said, I would love to hear your plan, buddy. Argo said, like Sasquatch is going to get you out of this one. That's when Gorge and Rico arrived. Sasquatch, Argo, and Twinkle were puzzled to see them there. Argo said, who are they? Twinkle said, Gorge? Rico? Sasquatch said, holy cow, is this a dream? Argo said, yes, they're a mirage. Of course they're real. Sasquatch said, listen, you didn't have to be sarcastic towards me, lady. Argo said, lady? Gorge said, Shaman has been riding our butts about the Rigetti jet. Argo said, wait, Ratchet's own Rigetti... Argo said, wait, Ratchet's own Rigetti Master Shaman? Sasquatch said, now is not the time to talk about that. Keenan said, oh, but they want the Rigetti jet back before... Keenan said, but they want the Rigetti jet back before Shaman puffs his pretty pink princess panties. Gorge said, Keenan, what are you doing here? Keenan said, working for Ricardo. Argo said, what else is new, fool? Keenan said, besides, I know I have 3 Rigetti warriors and the Rigetti girl besides our bounty, Twinkle. Rico said, with due respect, whatever he's done, he's sorry. Argo said, that was so powerful. Argo said, that was so wonderful. Argo said, are you serious, lady? Argo said, listen, you little ignorant Rigetti. You and Sasquatch call me lady one more time, and you're... Argo said, listen, you little ignorant Rigetti. You and Sasquatch call me lady one more time, and you'll get a boot where the sun don't shine. Twinkle said, oh, this Rigetti jet? Argo said, oh, for heaven's sakes, please no. Twinkle said, Rigetti jet, flight mode, here. Twinkle said, Rigetti jet, flight mode, there. Are you happy? That's when Rico grabbed the remote from Twinkle. Argo said, they're thrilled. Gorge said, is that Shaman's? And in one piece? Rico said, holy cow, it was like it wasn't taken. Argo said, so that's why it said property of Shaman. That explains it. Keenan said, well, if I'm going to confiscate it from you. Twinkle said, over our dead bodies. Keenan said, I can have that arranged. Keenan said, I can have that arranged. Argo said, not if we take you out first. So Rico, Gorge, Sasquatch, Argo in disguise, and Twinkle in disguise basically take on Keenan's soldiers and take them out one by one. Argo said, seriously? This is fun. Right twinkle in your eye? Twinkle said, okay, Argo splash. Argo said, it's Argo, and don't forget it. But then Keenan sends in more soldiers, and basically they realized that they were outnumbered. But then Eve showed up and went to town. On Keenan's soldiers. Eve said, this is what you call an army? Too easy. Argo said, Eve? Rico said, about time you showed up. Argo said, don't be treating a lady like that. Eve was startled by Twinkle in the soldier's armor. Eve said, who's this soldier in the armor near Sasquatch? I'm on it. Rico said, no, that's Twinkle and his lady friend. Eve said, what? Where? That's when Twinkle pulled his helmet off. Twinkle said, I'm surprised you didn't know it was me. Argo said, no, I thought you looked like someone that Wilfred would hang on a wall. Gorge said, don't make me take you in, Twinkle. Eve said, chill out, Gorge. Argo said, I think Eve has this one, boys. Rico said, boys, we're men. Gorge said, okay, little boy. That's when Twinkle knew things were getting serious and had to help his friends and fast. End of chapter. If you enjoyed this video, do yourself a favor and click the like button. Leave a comment below the screen. Please subscribe to this channel as Rigetti Warriors is here to stay. Please click the notification bell for new content coming to this channel. And please support the cause at patreon.com/Rigetti Warriors by Ratchet Films. And as always, until chapter 4 of Sasquatch Pearin, I would like to say, peace.